Good evening. It's Cindy Fodor here with Stamp the Love, and it's Make It Monday. And this is our recorded version because it's our class night. And this includes 4 special projects. And I'm afraid it's going to be just a tad long. I'm probably going to do the most difficult project first. Not difficult, but the most steps. So that you don't get tired and get to the hardest one. Okay. But I guarantee that you're going to want to be here for all of them because you're going to learn some new techniques or folds in every single one. So I hope that you enjoy. Before I get started, let me just mention that, first of all, you can get the class for free, either in person or by purchasing online. When you place a $50 order online, you will get this class for free. But what I just showed on the screen here, when your order hits $60, you will get our Creative Stamping Collective tutorial with 12 fabulous projects and videos for you to use the Summer Happiness Bundle. And this is a washi tape bundle, and it is just so beautiful and so much fun. So hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. All right. So without further ado, well, let me just say a quick thanks to all of you that came to our yard sale on Saturday. It was a smashing success, and Lord willing, we'll do it again next year. I've had a lot of you say, please, please, please do this again. And everybody that took part in bringing their stuff was really happy with the turnout that we had. And I feel so blessed. We raised over $500 for our fundraiser. And so I cannot wait to to get that money to them and let them know that you guys are all thinking of them. It's my niece and her children. And let's see, one other thing, let me just mention that we are gearing up for our fall retreat. Starts October 30th, I believe. I don't have that right in front of me. Give me a second here. Whoops. And I will just verify that date because it takes a lot of work to get ready for this because we have make and takes. We make gifts for you. We also have an early bird project that you don't want to miss. And so you want to get signed up as soon as possible. So October the 29th is when the retreat starts. It goes till November 1st. So I know that our cutoff is September, I want to say 29th or something like that. But the cutoff for the extra classes is going to definitely be before that because of all the prep work and everything. So if you want to get registered now and at least send a deposit in so that we know that you're coming, and then you can send out another message with all of the projects that we're doing for the extra classes that are available. And then you can sign up for those if it's something that speaks to you. Okay, does that sound good? So don't miss that. It's a wonderful time of getting away and just getting rejuvenated. The ladies and myself, we just feel so blessed when we come away from that weekend, having connected with other crafting people, making new friends. And I think everybody walks away with a new friend, it seems, including myself. So, all right. Let's get started. Let's get over to my hands and we'll show you this first project. Okay, so this card, we're using the lovely Poinsettia bundle. I am really, really frustrated. I spent the last hour looking for my stamps and dies, and they are nowhere that I can find. So, I disappointedly am going to show you how to make this card, and I'm going to have to tell you what to do. In fact, I can't even do the what I wanted to do for class tonight because this is an impressions bundle. So the dies actually leave an impression if you use the impressions pad, or if you use our silicone pad, something rubbery that will give a little bit of extra pressure as you're cutting it. So I'm going to explain what I did and tell you what you can do. But unfortunately, I cannot show you because I cannot find the dies to run them back through again. So let's start with this pattern that I did on the front of the card. I just wanted to really quick show you what I did with that. So I used our Forever Plaid embossing folder. And I just took a sponge brayer, or you can use a sponge or something, and just run your color on the, let's see, let's get the right side here. You want to put it on the side that is away from the Stampin' Up! Logo, okay? So you want to put it on this side. So you'll just run it lightly over, and you can see you're actually going to get ink down into the grooves, but that's okay. I kept it really light. And then you'll put your paper in here and run it through your machine. Let me just scoot this out of the way. So I suggest that you take just number 1 and number 2. This is the cutting thing, which you normally don't emboss with, but it gives you a little extra oomph. And then put this on, and then put a piece of cardboard or two from like your designer paper and run that through. You just want it to catch. Like this is sliding, so obviously I need just a little bit more on top of here. I could actually use this little mat that's from the Impressions mat, and just that gives me a little extra pressure so that you have just a little bit of impression. You don't really have to have the pressure. You could just press on it to get the ink to transfer. But when you do the impression, it gives you just a little bit deeper of a design. Let me pull out the piece again here to show you. So, I have my card folded in half. Okay, so you'll actually get some design on the inside when you do this technique. Let me look at this one. Yeah, so you can see the design in there. So, you know, it's up to you whether you just want to press on it, but I love how this, this gets in here. Let me just zoom in a little bit more so you can see that. It just does random color in there. It just looks so pretty. So anyways, hopefully that helps with that technique. Now, what I did for the poinsettias on here, so I ran them through and die cut them. I did Granny Apple Green, and I did Barely Blush. All right. And then I'm going to color them with some blends, which you could use watercolor, and because I did the blends and it turned out so well, I want to stick with that. But you could watercolor these, and then after, when they're still wet, run them back through the machine with your impressions plate or your silicone mat as one of the layers instead of one of your number 3 pads. Use this and maybe a piece of cardboard, and you would put this underneath. So it would go like this, 1 and 2, and then a silicone mat, and then this, and then you would put your dies in here, on here, and run them through again, so that it's not to cut, and they won't cut with this. Not that it matters because it's already cut, but it will push up into these little designs between, in between those little stem thingies. It will give you more dimension. So, but what I wanted to show you was I did that with mine. Let me just get rid of this so that it's not in the way. So I did that with mine, but I did not wet mine beforehand. And I think that I lost a lot of the depth. Now my leaves are still pretty deep, and I'm not sure on camera how much that's going to show. But when you get the depth in these, they are just So running them back through after you've added some color to them if you want to, or if you don't want to add any color and you like them as is, you can run it through and cut it, and then run it back through with your impressions mat and get that. But I suggest before you do that second step that you always wet the back of it, so that when it dries, it will stay, the fibers that you sort of crushed will stay with it where they should, because you have wet the fibers, and when they dry, they'll stay better. Okay, so that's my little tip that I really wanted to show you today, but unfortunately I can't. So let me just show you how I did the color. So I am using Barely Blush Dark, and I just came up here so far and tried to make it like not completely smooth. So just sort of brushing down from the edge, or from the center, just so that those edges so it doesn't have a straight edge going across there. Okay. Now, hopefully I got out here far enough. Let me just go a little bit further, because we're going to add another color, and I don't want them to, I want to be able to see plenty of this pink. Okay, and then I'm going to use light crisp cantaloupe and do the same thing, but I'm not going to go up as far, so that we have this blend of color coming to the center of the flower. And I think this, when they paint, I think they probably paint this color of poinsettia, but I just think it's so gorgeous. I don't know if it actually is natural or not, but so that's why I went with this one. Now, if you do like I just did here, and you get up there almost too far that this isn't showing anymore, I'm going to just add a little bit more of that to, so that it doesn't look like the crisp cantaloupe is the first thing. Now I'm going to come in with the dark crisp cantaloupe, but I'm just going to keep that in the very center here, and maybe just for some of the lines. So I don't want it to be too heavy. Just go, and this is all still staying wet, so I'm working with this fairly quickly so that this darker color will blend in with my previous colors. Okay, so there we go. And so as I'm looking at this, I'm seeing this looks really dark right here. So I'm going to come back in with my Barely Blush and just bring that color out a little bit more. I want the regular cardstock to go clear to the tip. I don't want to color out there, but so there we go. Let me just put that on here so we can see what that looks like. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the green leaf. So I'm using light oat olive and light mossy meadow. Don't be afraid to mix your colors instead of just using the light and dark of one color. I'll just play with the colors and see what I like. So I'm going to do the same technique. This is the lighter one, I think. So I'm just going to start with that. I think I'm going to come in a little further like I did the other ones, because I'm going to end up with not having it out far enough. Might as well do the stems right away. There is no science to this. There's no right or wrong. This is just how I did it. Just from playing with it. Okay, so if you decide to do it differently, that is perfectly okay. Now I'm just going to take this light mossy meadow, which is a little bit darker, And we're going to come in here and do some lines and maybe work some color into do my stem with this. This is pretty dark, so I'm not going out too far with it. Okay, and even like after you color with these, it gives them a heavier feeling. They just feel richer, almost fuzzy, like they just feel like real leaves. And I'm going to come back in with my Old Olive light and just blend that color a little bit. I did not silence my phone, and I'm telling you, I don't know what is going on. I apologize for that. But I hate to turn it off just because my granddaughter was in the hospital over the weekend with like major seizures again, and so I hate to turn my phone off. Okay, so this is where I would put them on and run them all back through. Well, I have to color these too, but run them back through and get that nice depth. But what I'd like to do, since I can't do that, is I'm going to just take this and turn it upside down and put my stylus on here. And because I can see the lines in here, I'm just going to add an extra little bit of pressure in here. In fact, I might do what I said I was going to do and just squirt this a little bit with some water so that as it dries, it will hold its shape. Okay, so get a little water in there. This is so much easier to do with the dye than doing this by hand. But when it's missing, what are you going to do, right? Okay, that had alcohol in it, and it's burning my eyes instead of water. But that's okay. It will do the same thing, but it will dry faster. That just means I have to work faster, right? Okay, let's see how we did here. So, yeah, it added a little bit of depth to it. And we're going to let that dry. Okay, through the magic of television, we have them all finished. And we're ready to layer them. So I'm going to go ahead and use my little arch piece here. And we'll start putting, this is still a little bit wet, but that's okay. For green glue, it will be okay. For glue dots, not so much. And actually, I forgot what I did with this was I snipped off this little one. Let me grab my scissors because he gets buried in there. So I'm going to snip him off so we don't waste him. And now let's layer our poinsettia. And I am going to just use a glue dot. I'll try not to cover up all my leaves. So there is, there's one more petal that looks either, it can be either for leaves or for this. I'm only using 3 of them because I didn't feel that it was necessary to use the other one. Because you can get a little carried away with this flower. It's so beautiful. But I wanted to make it easy enough, like there's already enough die cuts on this card to make it a lot of work, right? So now I'm going to tuck this one in right up here, like so. So that just extended that piece a little bit. Does that make sense? All right, now for the center of the flower, I pulled out these Moody Palette dots, and we're just going to use, get my, one of the little ones, and we'll put that right in the center, like so. Isn't that stunning? I just think this set is so beautiful. All right, now we need to put a greeting on here. Well, let's go ahead and put it on our card, and then we'll worry about the greeting, right? It really isn't a lot of work. It's a little bit of coloring, a little bit of die cutting, but it's just so stunning. All right, now I did use black paper and embossed it, but I'm trying to think how to make it easy for class. So I took these, I have a whole bunch of these left, and I'm not sure if they're still available from last year or not. But I just took one of these and grabbed a saying, and then took my black ink pad, which I put back here, and we're just going to add black. Now, when you first put it on, it's like, oh, I messed it up. It looks terrible. But the more black you put on, the more your gold embossing shows, because it resists the black. I'm trying to make it as black as I can. All right. We're finished with that. It's probably good to wipe over it with a tissue just to get the black off of the gold, and then I'm going to use some baby dimensionals here to pop this up on my card. They're mini dimensionals, by the way. Sorry to call them the wrong name, but they look babyish when you use the other ones. All right, so I think this will be just as stunning. Let me get this yucky paper out of here so we can look at these side by side. Look at that. Just as gorgeous, if not more, because it doesn't have all the mistakes of this. Now, there's something, can you tell the difference between the two of these? There's no gold. All right, let me show you what I did. I probably should have done that first. I took a little dish, I squeezed in, dump in some water, or I'm going to just use my brush and get a little bit of water in here. And then hopefully I have some green glue. And then I'm just going to squirt a little bit of green glue in there. Maybe. I was going to squirt green glue in there. For some reason, it's not wanting to come out. It was sitting upside down, so it should. Oops, there we go. Had a little blockage at the end. Okay, now I'm just taking a little brush and I'm going to mix it with the end here and get that all goopy, and so that it looks like just a puddle of like glue, but it's very watery. And then you could take this, you can do this a couple ways. You can take this and spatter it, but I sort of liked it to be where I wanted it to be. So I just take the end of this, or you can take the end or the stylus end of your, take your pick tool, and I'm just gonna sort of lay down where I want some of these spatters of glue to go. And this is a little more controlled then, since I have it already on my card. And you can, if I do it again, I get a smaller amount, so I can add some small ones as well. Or you can tap it off. We'll put some on the leaves as well. Now, you're not going to be able to see the end product here just because at least not in the next couple seconds, because this is going to have to dry for a minute after we put the gold on. So this is our old, remember the gold foil stuff we used to carry? This is what's left of mine. So I'm just coming in here and getting this fuzzy stuff. If yours is all nice like this, that's okay. You can put that on too. But this works nice for on this card because I can just sprinkle it on here. And I just want to make sure it's all over where I have my glue. All right, I think I got it everywhere. Plus, this stuff is very messy. That's why it's in a big container. And we're going to let that sit for a minute, and I will come back and show you how to do after it dries a little bit. So we'll have magic of television in a second. Okay, so it's dried for about 3 or 4 minutes. I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to press this into that glue a little bit. I know it's not dry yet, but I just want to make sure that the gold is getting into pressing against the glue, especially if it's not real powdery gold, then, you know, it's going to, it could stand away from the glue. All right, we'll let that sit for a few more seconds. Okay, let's see if this is dry enough. What we're going to do first, we're going to just tap off all this excess. And then I'm just going to brush lightly in case it's not quite dry yet. It's probably best to let this sit for about half an hour or so, but I'm in a hurry, so I'm not doing that. So I don't want to mess it up. I'm not going to brush it heavy till later, but I just want you to be able to see what it looks like. It's going to still look a little bit lumpy just because, like I said, I'm not taking it all off. But then once it's completely dry, I'll be able to brush it really hard and just leave what's flat on there. I think we've created a little bit of static here. All right, so there you get the basic idea of what that looks like. And then you remember the we've used these in color dots several times, and of course I have these colors. I'm using the pink ones later for a card. I'm so excited to be able to use these on here because they're so beautiful. I only have the end to my take your pick tool here because I have the stylus on the other one. So I'm going to just put these right here just to add a little extra shimmer. And there we go. All right, I hope you enjoy that. Let's get to the next one. Okay, this card features our new Fun for Fall bundle. And the scarecrow just drew me in. I had to get it. And then I saw the really cute dies with the little fences and things. And so if you recall, if you were with me last week, I did this fold. Actually, I think I did this fold. Let me think. Yeah, I'm trying to think if this is the fold that I did. I think this is the fold I did last week. But if not, you'll see it today. So it is a fold back and open card. Isn't that so cool? So I want to say I got the idea from Jackie Bolhuis. I think that's correct. But anyways, so I'm using a really cool paper. I think it's a gingham, and it comes in like 4 different colors. And so I thought that would be perfect for this card. So I'm going to teach you a really fun technique here because if you look at the stamp here, the flag is going this direction, and so is the die, of course. And I'm going to teach you how to get your image to turn the other direction. Okay, so let's start with that first. And I am going to use our Stamparatus. You can use the Stampin' Positioner or whatever you have. I'm also using our silicone mat for the opposite image. Okay, and I did put one of our spacers in here. I'm using the 1/4 inch spacer just because I need it to come away from the edge a little bit, and I didn't want to use a huge piece of paper because I'm cutting for class and I wanted to, you know, to fit for everybody. So this is going to fit against here. I am going to stamp this image, and the reason we're using the Stamparatus is because you have to stamp it in exactly the same position. So let's do this one first, because we have to have an image to cut our die out, because we can't cut it backwards. So we have to cut it the way it's made to cut. And then, oops, I'm sorry, sticking to my other stamps. All right, and I'm just going to pull that away for a second. And then we're going to stamp another image on the silicone mat. And the silicone mat has a nice release surface so that it will release that ink when we put our paper back on there. And if you wanted to do this one second, you could, because then it would give you that image. But I'm going to just put this back in here. Make sure I'm lined up. And then I'm going to press this back down again just to get that image to transfer. And then when you turn it over, voila, there's your image on the other side. So now the trick is we'll cut this image out, and then we will automatically have cut the correct spot from the other side. Okay, so let's do that real quick, and we'll make sure that's going to do like I said it's going to do. So we'll pop this on here and line it up. I didn't bring tape in, so let's hope I can do this well. Press that down. I'm holding everything in place so it doesn't move on me. All right, did we do it? Let's flip this over here and see. And voila, there we go. We have it going the other direction. So while we are working on that, we're going to stamp this little stamp that says, "Hey there." Now it's going sort of an opposite direction. So you can try to bend it the other way. It's a little tricky. If it's really sticky, it might stay for a little bit. But I'm going to try to sort of going by my, how my flag is wavy, furling there. And then I'll stamp this. It's more straight, but that's okay. At least it's not going the wrong direction. All right, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit now so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so now we have that done. I did stamp the scarecrow already and cut him out because I didn't want to have to do all my cutting while we were doing the video. But I did cut the little straw bale out of pecan pie, and I am gonna try to line that up. So excuse my head while I try to come over top of here and see if I can line that up pretty good. That's not too bad. Next, I'm gonna stamp the flowers. I'm gonna do those in black. And let's see, I'm just gonna put them down here in the corner. All right, that way I have, let me see if I have anything else that needs stamped. Okay, hoping your day is wonderful. We can go ahead and put that in there too. And then we'll be done with it. Okay, now let's do some coloring. My colors that I have are golden, golden glow, light and dark, and I have light secret sea, and I have light and dark crumb cake. And I had to order a new pack of blends because my light crumb cake, I think my brush is, no, that one's not too bad. All right, but I don't have two of them to have for class. So, okay. And we're using Golden Glow ink with the blends. What I'm doing with the Golden Glow ink is just sponging. Let me just pop this on here. And I'm just making this a little colored so that it stands out on our card. Okay, and then let me take the secret sea and we'll do the hole. And I'm going to do the center of the flowers in this. And then the outside of the flowers, I think I'm going to try the dark. I'm not sure which one I used. All right. Not doing any shading with this, just giving the flowers some cute little petals. All right, so that's finished. That's finished. We're going to color this guy. Maybe I'll bring my other scrap paper over here. And I'm also using a color lifter because I want, I think I'm using the light color of crumb cake for his hat. And it's still not quite light enough for me. So let me just color the brim here really quick. So what I did was I just took my color lifter then and I just blended it in a little bit just to remove some of that color and lighten it a tad. And that takes a few seconds for that to sink through, but you'll know that it's working because if you look on the other side, you can see there where that came through really heavily. I really want to do that then for his face. Because you can see how dark that's going to be. So I did it really lightly. Let me go ahead and finish coloring here. Do the pole. And what else do I want to do? These little patches here. Okay. And before that's dry, I'm going to use this a lot heavier, this color lifter. And it actually doesn't lift the color. It actually presses it through it. It's like alcohol or something that presses that color through. So we're just going to really use this pretty heavily and make that nice and light. Okay, now we're going to use the, let's start with a light golden glow and we'll do his shirt. I don't know why I feel like a messy color whenever I'm on camera. Okay, and then this is light secret sea, but it is very dark. But I know that it will make the lines disappear for a second, but they will show then. If I don't go over it too much. I'm just watching my design. I want to make sure I color it the same because when I'm finished with this, I'll have 2 cards for my classes, and it usually ends up that when I do the video, I do something different, so then my cards are different. Then you guys that come to class are like, wait, this card isn't the same. I'm like, no, because I can't ever do anything the same. Just trying to do this quickly so that you're not sitting here waiting for me to color. My phone is very noisy today. Okay. One thing I missed is some crumb cake here for this little tag. This probably says Osh Gosh, by gosh. And that's the dark one. That's the dark one that I have problems with, the tip. So I need to change that tip. Hopefully you saw my tip on changing those and getting tips that actually, whenever your pen is not dried out, there are spare tips online that you can get. So if you need to know where that is, let me know. I think I did that on the last Monday night video. Maybe showed you about those because, or maybe it was in my Creative Stamping Collective video. I can't remember. Okay. I think we'll do a little bit of this here. And I think, trying not to add too many colors because I can muddy things up pretty fast if I add too many colors. All right, I think that's good. Let's go ahead and get our card put together so that this card doesn't take half an hour to make, right? Okay, so my card is, let me grab this piece. It is, how many inches? I forget what I cut off. Okay, I do have a ruler right here. Use that, Cindy. 7.5 by 5.5 tall. Okay, 7.5 long, and it is scored at, let me get the inches here. It's scored at 3 3/8. Wait, that's a quarter. Yeah, 3 3/8, I believe. And then, sorry, I didn't have this written down for you. 6.5. So probably 3 3 3/8 and 6.5, something like that. And then you have an inch left here, and that's what's going to fold backwards. But it creates that, when you put something over there, it creates that locking mechanism. So I did use our tree embossing folder. Isn't that cool? And I thought that would look really cool on this, since it's sort of earthy. Just use some green glue on here and center this. And then I did cut a piece of the sunflower designer paper. This is coming next month with the new catalog, but you get a sneak peek of it here today because this cute scarecrow needed some sunflower paper to go with it, and it coordinated so well with the color here, so that worked out perfect. All right, now this piece is going to go on here, and we are just going to hook it by the sides. I'm going to use dimensionals, and I will just put them along the edge. I'm going to do 4 since it's a fairly long piece. All right. Now we've got our dimensionals there. Let's sort of figure, I'm putting it up just a little bit so it's not quite centered. There we go. Now we have that look. I did forget to put the inside piece in, so let's go ahead and do that next. Oops. I just ripped the paper there. Not sure why it did that. I want to center this in this panel here. we go. Close that. Let's get our little scarecrow on here. I'm first going to put one of the sections of the fence on here. And so we're just going to add a touch of glue. You can see all these little cracks in here. So you sure don't want to put a lot of glue on here because you'll end up with it going through all those little crevices. So I'm just, hopefully you can see, like you can barely see the glue. And I'm going to stand it this direction and just sit it right against there. And then I am going to pop, if I can find my scarecrow, there he is. And we'll just pop him up on there. Like so. And then we'll put our little flag. I don't like this white here, so I am going to take my light crumb cake and just, it's really dark. Oh, it's because it is dark, you ninny. Give me 1 second. That's why it was so dark on me. That's why I got those pens, because I thought that my light ones were all bad. And they were, but I wasn't looking at it right. Okay, we'll lighten it. That's okay. All right. Now I'm going to just put some glue. This is going to be a little wet, so just right along here. And we'll stick this under his arm or his hand so it looks like he's holding it. Bring it down just a little bit. All right. And then I'm going to tie, well, let's go ahead and pop this on here. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue because this is going to come over the edge a little. There at the fence, and then we'll just tie our bow. And I think I did a double, so I'll fold that in half and see. Whoops, I'm doing this wrong. You'd think I would know how to use this. The top one goes under and comes over. Square knot. If you like to tie bows, you just go ahead and tie it. If you don't, you can use your ribbon tire. And then you can make this as, pull this nice and tight. Gonna snip our ends here and grab a glue dot. And then I'm just gonna try to roll that glue dot up a little bit so it's not showing behind here. And there we go. And I do have, we have some new gems, and I think these are coming out in an online exclusive rollout, which is probably November, October, November, I'm not sure. We got these for a class, and they were so perfect for this that I was like, I don't think you guys are going to mind using them. And I just put them here for the little buttons, because our buttons sort of did disappear. So I just added those there for our buttons. Okay, I think that's it for that one. Hopefully you enjoyed that and learning that little technique for turning your images around. Let's get to the next one. Okay, our next card is this fabulous little fold, and we're using the cute and adorable Sweet Old Friends bundle. And we're also using the dies from and sayings from the Sweet Words and Labels dies. So they come in the same sweet because they're sweet. Anyways, and I decided to, I love this little plaid. I think this is from, let me just grab my paper here. I forgot to grab the paper pad. I believe, yeah, this is from the Winnie the Pooh set. And so I was going through my paper in that set to look through to see what papers I had left, and I saw this really cute pink plaid, and I thought, well, that would be fun for a girlfriend card. It can be for kids or a girlfriend, but I love this fold so much, And I used it on a sample from last month's class, but I didn't use it on a card yet. So I wanted to use it as one of the cards. So let's look at let me lay this aside. Look at what pieces we have here, and I will give you some measurements. So the white base is 9 inches by 4 1/4. Okay. And it's scored in thirds. So it's scored every 3 inches so that it can go fold, fold like that. All right. So this is our opening. And then this piece, of course, is going to be 2 3/4 by 4. And then I just cut a tiny little strip to put on the inside to coordinate the inside with it, because sometimes you can have too much white, right? So we're going to stick this in here. Oh, it doesn't go right against. I'm sorry. Now I can't pick it back up. I'm having really issues with my fingers today for some reason. All right, so it goes like that, and then we'll use our little adhesive eraser to take off any of this extra glue that I smeared on here. You sort of have to let green glue dry before you do this, so it's going to take me an extra second. All right, I got most of it. I'll come back with that once it's dry. All right, let's put this one on and see if I can do a better job. I don't need to use green glue for this one necessarily, but since I have it right here, and we'll just center that on here with like a 1/8 of an inch on all around. All right, and then I cut this piece from that sweet what's it called? Sweet Words and Labels, and we're gonna stamp this little stamp. It's got Winnie and Piglet on it, so we'll get that in there. And I'm using Memento just because I have not figured. Uh-oh, I just smeared that up. Well, that was lovely, Cindy. Let's do the other side. I'm not sure how I did that, but you probably watched me do it. It's funny how you can always see it when somebody else does it. When my grandsons were stamping in my room yesterday, and the littlest one is 3, and I opened a pad for him, and he stuck his hands right in the pad. I'm like, okay, look at your hands now. He was just horrified. And then when I wiped them off, they were still green, and he was like, they're still dirty. I'm like, it'll wash off eventually. Just like I tell you guys, it'll wash off in a few days. Okay, let's go ahead and do our saying right away. Do I have that die here? Yeah, here it is. Another die from that set. That's so cute. I think that's how I got the ink. This lid is really tight on here, which is great. It's nice and snug, but all right. I did want to do something else to that first. I'm going to let that dry. I sponged that in with pink around it, but it's always better to sponge before you stamp, because when you sponge with ink, it's wet and it will make this run. So we're going to let that dry really good before we do that. Let's go ahead and color. I'm going to use Light Darling Duckling. This was, Linda colored this for me, and these were her choices, and they look so nice. So that's what we are using. But I wanted him to be just a little bit more brown. So I came in with my handy dandy color lifter again. Just going to lift just a little bit of color in here. Not too much. I really don't want to see those lines, but once that's dry, I'm going to come back in with some crumb cakes. That's why I did it right away, because I want that to dry a little bit. I'm using Light Shaded Spruce on Piglet's little coat here. And then I'm going to use a light Fleur de Flamingo for Piglet's body. And because we use the light, it's the lightest shade. So if you want to lighten that a little bit, you can always come in with a color lifter and just highlight where you want it to be, just a tad lighter. All right, let's see if this is dry enough. Let's come back here and do light crumb cake. I'm going to use my new one once and see. I have a feeling that that is, it's dark. I have to go back to this one. This is a new, let me make sure it's light. I don't know if it's dark. Oh boy, that would have been a catastrophe. I don't think I could have fixed that one. All right, let's see what this looks like. Yeah. Hopefully I'm not destroying her beautiful coloring idea, because I didn't have a light that worked before. I didn't do this on my other card, so I'm going to add this dark just to make him a little more brown, like a okay. And then I'm going to come back in as soon as that dries, just a tad. You can always use a heat tool if you want it to dry faster. And let's just add a little more yellow in here. I just want a blend of brown and yellow, a little bit of each. So I don't want one to be stronger than the other, but whatever I put on here last is going to be a little bit stronger. So there we go. Now he's more of the color I like. He looks more like a bear than a bright. Let's see. Let me see if I have a scrap here that we could use. There we go. Because this is what we started with. All right. And now this is what we ended with. So I hope you can see, like, this is just really bright yellow and we've toned it down a little bit. Okay. That was my plan anyways. All right, let's come back to this and see if we can sponge some pink on these edges without making a muddy mess. And you could maybe hold it up like this and just bring this down across so that you don't get so much on the ink. Whoops, that got a little darker than I wanted it to. Forgot to tap it off. So do what I say, not what I do, right? All right, there we go. Now we've made the edges of that stand out a little bit better. Okay, now I've used the 100 Acre Woods embossing folder on this to just give a little bit of background. And we're going to put that on our base, which is just 5 1/4 by 4. I mean 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. This is 5 1/4 by 4. And we just need a base to hold that moving card. So we'll put this on here, and then we can add this to that base. There, I did it again. I think I'm rushing too much and catching that. And I want to center this as good as I can, make sure that's upright. There are trees on it, so you definitely want to have it going the right direction. And there's even a north, south, east, that little, yeah. What is this? Compass. Like a compass. Okay, let's put dimensionals and pop this up. Do 4 on there. It's good this back isn't showing, huh? I made quite a mess of that. Pop that on there. This side definitely, because I had to flip it over, has some some of the colored paper from my cutting pad, and so I'm just going to go over that a little bit with this eraser and see if I can brush some of that out of the little holes. I don't worry about it usually because I don't use that side, but since we flipped it over, I want it to look nice. You guys probably can't see it on camera, but if you zoomed in. And then I have my pink bow. This is this goes with the Barely Blush. It's in color, so we have the ribbon to match, which is so nice. And we're just going to pop that up here to make it even more girly. And then I'm just going to glue this right in the center here. And maybe I will put a dimensional at each end because it's going to glue to there. And it's going to need a little bit of a lift, otherwise it's going to sag at the edges. And I'm just going to run that right across the bottom of that design, like so. And then last but not least, I have these in color dots, and I have used a lot of the other colors, and I was so excited that I have a lot of this color left to use up. So we will add 2 gems, a big one and a little one. And ta-da, we are finished with our cute, cute card. I don't think I stamped anything on the inside of that one. All right, hope you enjoyed that little, little fold and coloring tips. Okay, we're going to tone it down a little bit for this one. The other cards have been quite involved, and I want to do a card that is beautiful but a little bit simpler for you. Using sort of a combination of different things, not anything that's in a suite or, but I am using the scallops from the scallop set, and my greetings are from the set as well, the scallop blooms, because it has some beautiful font sayings on here. But the embossing folder that you can see here has really, really deep embossing, and it's so beautiful. It's called Stone and Vine, and it just went on last chance, which really surprised me. I feel like I've barely introduced it to you, and now it's going already. It's got some ivy, really deep ivy coming out. It's really pretty, and it looks like just a stone background. The paper that I'm using, I wanted something to coordinate, and this is from the Relaxing Waterside paper. And then this little ribbon is coming from a little sneak peek of something that's coming out soon. So in the Christmas, I believe, or maybe the new online exclusive. So we've got some pool party, some sort of mossy meadow here with the paper, and here, and some old olive. And yeah, let's go ahead and make that one. I pulled in pecan pie. Some of you do not like this color. At least one of you I know does not like this color. But I want to tell you, like, it's a great neutral that's a little bit nicer than just using like a crumb cake, because when you need something that's a little bit darker, but early espresso is just too dark. So that works out really good. This I need to cut down to size. I did not realize that. So that's good to know, right? Sometimes I cut these a little bit bigger so that when I emboss them, especially with these deep ones, they do change size a bit. And so it's nice to be able to change that up. And I want to grab one of my sanding blocks here. I don't think I have one in here. I got a whole pack of little sanding blocks. And this paper tends to want to fray a little bit, especially after you've embossed something. So running a little sanding block on the edge will give you a nice clean edge. All right, we are going to use, like I said, this is a very deep folder, and I'm not even going to try to run my seal across it because you can imagine all the broken fibers, because it's such a deep fold, or deep emboss, I should say. So we'll put that on there. And then this little designer piece, you can see it has like the oars and the life jackets and stuff from the waterside paper. And we'll just line that up at the bottom. And then we've got this inside that's going to just get covered with this strip. And it's going to go to both edges, like so. Let me see if that's straight. That looks pretty good. All right, let's stamp our greeting on here. I chose happy birthday just because, I don't know about you, but I always need birthday cards and sympathy cards. And I do a lot of, sometimes I'll do a lot of thinking of you, because that way it can be thinking of you on your birthday or thinking of you during this tough time. I don't know what's on there, but hey, that sanding block worked. Okay, I'm going to put this just on an angle like that. And then while that dries, we'll put some dimensionals because it looks really wet. Don't need that one. We'll get some dimensionals on here. And then I already have my bow tied. This is so pretty. It's got a little darker, I don't know if you can see it. It's a little darker edges on it. I just love little gingham ribbons. So happy to have something a little different. Pop that on there, and then I pulled out these gorgeous, I love these so much, shimmering dots. And I have, I did a project where we used all of the green, so I have all of these blue ones, and they go perfect with this card. So we will pop a few of those on here, maybe just there and there, to add a little bit of pizzazz to the card. And they are so pretty and shimmery. All right, hopefully you enjoyed that little simpler card. And hopefully you'll check back next Monday night at 8 o'clock, where I will hopefully have something more and inspiring for you. It won't be as long as this one because this, like I said, this is the class version. And again, if you enjoyed these cards and you would like to get the packet of these cards for free, you just need to place an order through me of $50 or more. And if you bump it to $60, don't forget that you get this beautiful tutorial. And also this month, we have specific cardstock, two-tone paper, and what else? Designer papers that are on sale. So be sure and check those out while you're placing your order, and maybe hurry because they're going to run out of certain things. The designer papers go fairly quickly. So be sure and check that out. All right. Thanks again. Take care. God bless.